Hello there, YouTube. We are back with a special deck profile for y'all today. I'm joined by our resident Fenrilooga player, Arby himself.
Hey,
Thanks for
you guys
coming
can,
on.
you're welcome. You guys can catch all my latest mistakes on my latest video. I haven't played Digimon in a while, so yeah, having fun playing Luga again, but it's definitely a deck that takes a lot of getting used to.
For sure, for sure. And speaking of Luga, this is what the deck profile is going to be on. In BT-16, Luga gets a few support pieces, mainly in the new Soul Lugar, which is absolute gas for this deck. And a few other pieces that Arby's going to talk about. He's got a new updated build that's been doing pretty well, as you've seen on the channel and as we've seen in locals as well. So definitely a deck to watch out for, and definitely a deck that's going to be right up there with sort of all the meta contenders for sure. So hopefully, you enjoy Arby's build. This is a good foundation for anybody who wants to play Luga. If you have any feedback, comments, suggestions, leave them in the comment section down below. And while you're at it, check out our socials, which will be linked in the video description. And last but not least, while you're at it, if you want to hit that like and subscribe button, support us handsome boys on the channel, we would greatly appreciate it. But without further ado, Arby, it's all you, my man. Take it away.
All right, so for eggs, we're gonna go with the standard 4 Balmon. Not much to say about this egg other than it's just as strong as it always was.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also BT-14 Luga, which we keep a 4 of. BT-15 Luga, that we keep it 3 of, or at least I'm running it at 3. And then the last rookie is going to be BT-16 Ugomon. The reason being is it's a huge consistency piece. Being able to choke on turn 1 and then immediately hatch into an egg the next turn. As well as searching for either another piece or a Tamer. And the deck really wants to see like certain key pieces and AG, most importantly. A lot of what the deck does works off having an AG in sources. So yeah, it's just a really fantastic piece, better than the other Uko by far.
For sure. And I noticed that since you're running 4 of them, I know some people like to sprinkle in like Fasco and stuff. Like, do you feel like Fasco is just sort of not really useful anymore?
No, I don't think those. This deck, sometimes depending on your matchup, you want to just high roll.
Yeah.
As quickly as you can. That's one of the ways to get over Magna is just, it takes them, a turn or two to set up things, and they won't be able to do that if you just KO them.
If you win before them.
Yeah. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
The deck with some of its new pieces can just go insanely fast and have the opponent dead.
For sure.
Like before they can even really react.
Right.
But yeah, moving on, we'll go into our level 4s. I run 3 of the BT-14 Lugarmon.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a red and purple card, so that's why I'm running less of it, but it's still as good as it was before. I am running 4 of the BT-15 Lugarmon. This card being able to give plus 2k DP when digivolving is pretty huge, and it can also do that when attacking. So sometimes you get plus 4k DP, and you need that either to climb or to live through some of the bigger removal options in this format. Heaven's Judgment, I believe, does only 12k.
Yeah, coming out of security only 12k.
Yeah, off of security check. That's Luga's base, or that's Fenrilooga's base DP. And you really just want to be higher than that sometimes, just to live through it. And this helps you do that after your alliance wears off. Moving on, we have BT-16 Sethmon. This card is crazy with another piece we'll talk about later. We'll talk about that when we get to it. And then I run only 1 Black Automon. So far it's been consistent enough to run at 1, but you can run it at 2 if you want. And then for the last level 4, 2 of the BT-15 Tyrannomon. Being able to search for a Tamer or SOC trait Digimon helps a lot. That's really, all it's there for. Moving on to level 5s.
I guess before we move on to level 5s of 2 Arby, like a quick question for you too
Sure.
would be like with the level 4s, in your opinion, like I think a lot of what Lugar wants to do too is like kind of pick which ones you want to set up in trash and which ones you actually like want to digivolve into. I know sometimes you're just like, I'll just set up trash with whatever since you can play out level 4s all the time. But is
Yeah.
there a particular like level 4 that you're saying like I would prefer to digivolve these guys and prefer to have these guys in the trash?
So this doesn't change too much if you played Luga before, but I apologize for not considering newer players to the deck. The Digimon that you're looking to digivolve into most of the time are going to be your Lugarmons, either BT-14 or BT-15, depending on what you need. That's why they're the most consistent at 4 and 3. The other ones can go in the trash, but really, all you're mostly looking to put Sethmon and Black Automon in there. Those are the two I'd say go in there, and then depending on what you need, either Lugarmon, Tyrannomon can go in the trash. Like in a pinch if you need to search for stuff and then bring it out afterwards. But it's not that needed.
Sure.
If I'm being honest, you might be able to get away with cutting it to 1.
For sure.
Certain decks, but it's just a good piece for consistency's sake.
Fair enough. All right, and level 5s now.
Level 5s. You're gonna be running 3 of the old BT-14 Helllugermon. Just because the other one doesn't do what this card does. You have to, having to wait until the end of your opponent's turn sometimes means you just lose. And you really just want the draw.
Yeah.
And the return from this. And you want it to be dead as soon as possible, because sometimes they don't even delete it. Sometimes they just bounce it back in, and if that happens, you're gonna cry. And then the last, the next level 5 is gonna be Solugarmon from BT-16. I run it as a 4 of. I think this card is absolutely insane, and if I used it properly in my match against TJ, it would have done a lot more work. So what this does now, for those that don't know, when digivolving by trashing 2 cards in hand, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 6k DP or less. If it doesn't delete, you can play a level 4 or lower card with SOC. So, it does both things that you want to do. A lot of Lugar's or Fenrilooga's problems before was getting deleted or getting stopped or floodgated by things like a Betamon or a Cutemon, and this really just helps. Not Cutemon, Pillowmon. This really helps you, get rid of that stuff. And then it also has an Alterns effect, which I need to remember requires the Tamer. One of your other Digimon with SOC trait is deleted. Doesn't say by what, it just says if it's deleted. So you can delete it off of attacking, you can delete it off of your own effects. It can digivolve into a Fenrilooga in your trash without paying the cost, which is just absolutely massive. It's such a good.
And like another thing too with this Solugar too, like I've seen you do it, I've seen Sunny do it as well, who you two are probably the more like consistent Fenrilooga players that we have, like going like pushing up with your Lugar, gaining the memory off of AG, and then like just escalating straight into like Solugar off of your like combo plays is absolutely nutty. And then before you know it, you've got a Fenri on board, like 5 different bodies, and you're just like, well, I'm in danger.
Between the BT-15 and the BT-16 Luga to Solugar pieces, you can just climb into your entire line
Yeah,
from a rookie. You know, you don't sometimes you just want to do that, and it doesn't matter how much memory you give your opponent. You just want to flood the board with as many things as possible.
for sure.
In certain matchups. Um, and you know the new pieces let you do that, and sometimes you also just get to restand and do it again next turn.
But yeah, definitely a good card, and I think you had a couple more level 5s you were running too, right?
Yeah, the only other level 5 I'm running is two of the BT-16 Dino Beamon. With your Lugermons, your Sethmons, Tyrannomons, you can consistently go into this. And part of the reason we run Ukomons and Sethmons is those are free trait Digimon. Um, if you DNA Digivolve into this, you can summon one of those and then give it Rush, and then activate effects.
Oh, I didn't
Which is
realize Sethmon was a free. Oh,
yeah, Sethmon is a free because he's a Vmon armor form.
yeah, yeah,
He's also a dark animal, so
yeah.
you know in a pinch you can
Yeah,
digivolve into him from a Baumon, off trashing.
gotcha.
But yeah, super good, and you know having partition also helps a lot. Because even if your stuff gets bounced, as long as you have the two sources underneath, they come back.
Yeah.
And then moving on to level sixes, everything here from now on is kind of pretty standard. I run, of course, four of the BT-14 Fenriloogamon. This is our only Fenriloogamon right now, but it's still a monster.
Yeah.
And you can go into this so much faster than you could before. It's actually kind of insane to me how fast I'm able to pull off combo if I have the right pieces in hand. And it really is just like it really feels like an OTK unfair deck.
There have been many times where you've like put out a Fenri on board, like turn 2 or turn 3 against me, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like I'm looking at game next turn.
Yeah, sometimes you just put it out there and tell your opponent like answer it or die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes it works, and sometimes TJ will trash all your sources and then bottom deck all your Digimon and you cry. So it's definitely a cool play to do. Doesn't work all of the time, but I think you have to know your matchups and know when you are able to do it.
For sure. But like with Fenri and Alliance too, like you said too, with like being able to restand and all the bodies that you have on board, like the amount of times that you've done it, Sonny's done it, I think Shane has done it too when he's like go through like 6, 8, 9 security. Like no matter how many times I try to recover or like, recuperate, it's like, well, I there's just no stopping it.
So sometimes it's just too hard to answer.
Yeah.
And it does something that requires an answer is better than having nothing else.
Yeah.
And
well, now too with all the red pieces that you're running as well, like people are putting in, not to steal your thunder, but like ADP as well, right? And that's something that we can talk about later.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of tech choices for the deck. I'm still refining the deck as the format goes on and as we do more testing.
Sure.
But right now I'm running it for like consistency to see all my pieces, and just pull off OTK as fast as I can. ADP can help with that, but it adds another like inconsistency piece, and I haven't encountered too many like security bomb decks where I'm worried specifically about security bombs like I was with SecCon.
Sure.
But yeah, it's definitely a tech choice that I may run later. I think it just depends on what I'm gonna be seeing in the format.
Definitely.
But moving on, we also have one copy of BT9 Death Xmon. Still an insane card. It's invaluable in the counter matchup. If you wipe their board, sometimes they don't have an answer. But you have to be careful. You can't do it if they have a BT-16 Lugermon on board, because then they're just gonna digivolve into Fenri from trash. And you're gonna be like, why did I do that? They just
That is true.
resummoned everything I killed. But yeah, it's still an insane card. Still helps in some matchups.
Mhm.
It can be cut though, depending on how often you're running into things that it's not that useful. Like I don't think it's that useful against Magna, and it's not useful against some of the other decks in the format. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Moving on to options, we have one Calling from the Darkness from BT-7. This card is really good for finding pieces and getting back pieces. Sometimes I just see Lugermons in trash and I want them back.
Yeah.
I want them back so I can kill my opponent. This is the only card that really does that. Yeah, and it's just super memory efficient.
Yeah, one cost to like proc effects, pick up your pieces again, and like string along more combos is just insane value.
And as I was saying earlier, if you have AG in BT-16 Lugermon sources, you can delete one of the let's say you summon a Digimon that turn, you can delete it with calling. Digivolve from Fenri in your trash, and then just summon all the stuff that you killed anyway.
True.
Not
bad.
Yeah. The next card we have is the promo Wisdom Training. Trainings are still really good. It's a little harder to justify this one. Right now, I'm still running it at 4, but I may cut it to 2 and run 2 purple memory boosts.
Okay.
Just because sometimes you're not just digi-evolving up into your line as often. Sometimes when you're digi-evolving, you're doing it through Baumon's effects to go into your entire line, which is crazy to me that Baumon's effect is not a once per turn, but that's how Bandai decided things were, so we'll go with it. We also have one copy of X Antibody Protoform. I may be undervaluing this card, but it's really nice. It gives you an extra security when your Digimon is removed by any one of your opponent's effects. It also lets you Digivolve for 1 less into an X Antibody Digimon, which all the Luger pieces are X Antibody, so you can do it from any of those.
Yeah.
And then as far as our Tamers go, right now it's still the standard 4 BT-14 AGs and EX1 Analog Youth. They both do essential things for the deck. Analog Youth finds a piece, and then it trashes cards. AG is what the whole deck revolves around. So many of your effects need AG in sources. And, giving Alliance and Blocker is just invaluable for the deck. You need Alliance to swing over a lot of the bigger threats in this format.
For sure. Well, nice. I think that wraps up the deck. So yeah, like I said before, if you've got any questions for Arby, let them know. Couple things before we wrap up here on the video. If you just want to talk about, what you feel like are pretty like good, solid, winnable matches that you feel very comfortable with, and matchups that you're like, this might not go so well.
So matchups that I'm comfortable with, I think I'm pretty comfortable with both the Magna matchups, Vaccine Armors, and V Armors.
Yeah.
Just because you're not really, like I said, you can use the BT-15 Lugermon to just go over the Magna. A lot of the times they're only threatening 15, maybe 18k, and a lot of the times you're swinging for 22k
Yeah.
or 20k, and they just can't get over that on their first turn. So they're not just gonna block you and lose their piece.
Hmm.
They usually want to like leave it up so they can get rid of your stuff. And sometimes
sure.
if they plan for that, you can just either force the kill anyway or force them to low security.
Definitely. Definitely.
Um,
Yeah, what about some maybe not so great matchups? If there is one.
Not so great matchups. I have honestly, I agree with TJ. Um, what is it? Going up against anything that bounces is super scary. So I'm scared of Mirage because I can't just leave a level 5 on board
Hmm.
because it'll get bounced and then I'm gonna cry. They also have like Zudo Ace to strip sources that I need.
Hmm.
If the Soul Luger goes, like sometimes that just ends like my attack string and I cry again.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess a lot of your effects do kind of rely on deletion as well, and bounce just negates
Mhm.
that.
They also don't play that many Tamers, so
Right.
Daxmon doesn't do a whole lot. Um, it's just a scary like the fact that what we've been seeing a lot of Mirage players do is tech in the Mirage or the Mach-Galgamon that prevents attack targets from being switched,
Hmm.
which is insane because then the blocker, even if you set up a blocker wall, it does nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, Imperial's also a scary matchup. I'm always scared to go up against TJ's Imperial list. Because if he has a level 5 on board, I'm terrified of swinging sometimes. And if he has an Imperial Dramon Dragon mode, I'm terrified of summoning anything. I'm terrified of combo, because then my combo piece just goes out the window.
For sure.
Um, but
Um,
yeah, those are scary matchups for sure.
and last question for you: are you ready for Takeme Kazuchi mode?
I am very ready for that. I I hope I like the playstyle of it.
Yeah.
Because it just seems so busted with all the different combos you can play. I just have to get used to the combos.
Yeah.
I'm not used to them yet, so
What do you mean?
I'm
We
not
read
even.
cards. What are you talking
I don't.
about?
I can't read. I just turn on YouTube videos and have people explain what the card does to me.
But yeah, no, thanks for taking the time and doing this profile, because I know you've found a lot of success with this deck and this current iteration of it, and Fenri, honestly, like we said before, is still going to be a very, very strong deck going into the BT-16 meta. So definitely a good idea for everybody to just know what it does, know what it's there for, and kind of
Yeah, no,
see what it can do.
know the deck's weaknesses. The deck is kind of even more of a red deck now than it was
Yeah.
before. Um, if it can't find its pieces, it kind of flounders a couple times, and then if you have enough things to floodgate them, then sometimes they really do just struggle.
Yeah. But then sometimes you are Himothy and you just go for it
Yeah,
all and win it all.
yeah. Sometimes you get your combo, turn 2 or 3, and then your opponent was like, "Well, how do I counter that?" I'm like
You don't.
you don't. I'm sorry.
But yeah, thank you again, Arby, and thank you all for tuning in. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. And as we said before, feel free to check out our socials, which are linked in the video description down below. And hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. We greatly appreciate it. And hopefully we'll catch you on that flippy flip. Bye
Bye.
bye.